On this special Cinco de Mayo edition, we have the first Mexican rapper from Compton, Kiki Smooth. We're going to bring him in and talk to him about his impressive discography and what it means to be the first Mexican rapper out of Compton, what he's working on next. Let's bring him in.
All right.
Happy Cinco de Mayo.
Hey, happy Cinco de Mayo, brother. Happy Cinco de Mayo.
Thank you, my
Happy
brother.
Cinco de Mayo to all the raza out there. You know what I'm saying?
To all la raza out there, it's an honor to have Kiki Smooth, the first Mexican rapper out of Compton.
Oh, blessings, brother. Thank you for having me. You know what I mean? It's a blessing to be here.
Thank you, my bro. Thank you. You know, I want to make sure that, given that it's Cinco de Mayo and your music has so much Mexican influence, right? So it's hip hop, right? It's West Coast. It's representing Compton,
Yes, sir.
but it's also representing your roots. Talk to us
Yeah.
about your sound.
Well, my family comes from Guerrero, Mexico. You know, my mom had me when she was 14 years old, so very young age. So she went from Guerrero, Mexico to Compton, out of all places in California. We end up in the hub city. So, you know, I wasn't just her baby. I was her, like, best friend. Like, so she was exposed to a lot of different type of music.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? One day we were listening to cumbias. The next day we're listening to Madonna.
Yeah.
You know, and Michael Jackson and, you know, Aniceto Molina, you know, people like that. So my music comes from that, from having the dopest mom ever. You know what I mean? And that was kind of like when I started rapping, it was that. It was me making music that I remembered when I was growing up. You know what I mean? That sound, those sauces that a lot of people forget about when you're making music.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it was a journey that didn't just went straight to the Mexican music, because I am from Compton and Watts, you know, like all my life.
Yeah.
Compton and Watts. My mom works a 9 to 5. She's going out dancing for sure Friday, Saturday. So they're sending us to grandma's house in Watts. You feel me? But me being around a lot of my African American friends, best friends, you know, the gang grew up on our block. We all grew up together. So rap was always, you know, that. It was hip hop, it was DJing, it was breaking, it was graffiti, it was just all at the same time. So I would always rap in English first. I started rapping, and you know, let's just rewind. You know, like I always, I'm a DJ at heart.
Yeah.
I started DJing at 14 years old.
Wow.
You know, and went to jail at 18, but came out with that hunger of saying, I'm gonna become somebody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm not just gonna be this DJ that goes from house to house. I want to see the world. I want to see the world. And as a young DJ with all that hunger for all types of music and all types of flavor and love, you know, I dedicated myself to being the baddest DJ I could ever be. You know what I mean? Like, I'm talking about spending summers in my garage. And it wasn't even a garage. It was like a tool shed. You know what I'm saying?
A mini garage.
Yeah, with turntables, and you know, back then it was vinyl. I have vinyl everywhere. This is my DJ room, and you know, just loving hip hop made me go get a job at Underworld Records with Big A, and that's, you know, Eazy-E's family.
Yeah.
So me forcing myself there, they were like, "Oh, we're not hiring." Cool. Come back a week later. Hey, are you guys hiring? Nope. Until, you know, like my uncle Big A always tells me, like, you know, your desire for wanting something and never quitting is what made me hire you. And I ended up getting that job at Eazy-E's record store. And I ended up meeting this Japanese guy there named DJ Too High. Shout out to Hikaru Matsuyama. That's my brother. That's my dog. That's my best friend. He changes my life. Imagine meeting a Japanese guy in the heart of Compton on Alondra and Atlantic, you know, and he was going to go find his dream too in America. and we
Oh, so
met
he
each
was
other. And
from Japan. He
yeah, he
came from Japan to
came to
Compton.
Japan, came to Compton to follow his dream. And I was trying to follow my dream at the same time. You know what I mean? And we ended up finding each other. Check this out. This is young Kiki Smooth at 17.
Wow.
And this is DJ 2I. He found those pictures the other day, and I was like, whoa, these are bad. That's us young, meeting each other, two persons from completely different parts of the world. And we just started DJing everywhere. And he introduced me to a guy that his name is Ghost. And Ghost Smoke was my chronic hookup, but
Yeah.
he also is Coolio's nephew.
Wow.
And
It's all connected. It's
yeah,
all.
so they ended up having a problem with their DJ Fatbox, rest in peace, and they called my brother Too High. Hey, can you come with us to do shows? And he said he couldn't travel, but he was like, my best friend can.
Wow.
And this is, house phone days. There's no cell phones yet. And I get the my little brother skating to my block where we used to all kick it at. We were taggers, so we all kicked it. Shout out to my homies from DMK and KCC. Y'all know what it is.
Yeah.
Next, I see my little brother, and he's like, "Hey, Ghost is calling you," and I'm all like, "Damn, I don't need no more chronic. I wonder what does he want?"
Right. You're like,
I kind of lied a
hi,
little
I'm
bit.
good.
Yeah. We're good. And he kind of like called again, so because my little brother again, I'm like, "Man, you better go answer this call. It sounds important."
Yeah.
So, I walk back home. I'm like 19 years old. So, I'm like, all right, what's popping? And he's like, we need you to come DJ for Coolio for one day.
Wow.
And I was like, yeah, man, you better stop that shit, girl. Like, for real. I was about to hang up on him. And he's like, no. Give me your name and we're going to get you a plane ticket. And I was like, all right, cool. And they're like, we're going to pay you and fly you. And I was like, no way. So a person from Compton, I just never thought that would happen
And
in my
Coolio was
eyes.
so big, right? Coolio had, yeah.
It wasn't like the top of the peak of his career, but it was still Coolio.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's gangster's paradise. So no matter where we went, it was sold out shows. So I went, I got there, and I got to chop it up with Coolio one-on-one by ourselves. And he was just like, what? You from Compton? And peep this. I used to go to, so he's from Mona Park Crips, right? My junior high was across the street from there. That's Bunch. And my elementary was next door to that park. So I would swim at that park. I used to be a lifeguard, just to let y'all know I could save y'all. Anyways, CPR and all that shit. Listen. Do the stay. I got y'all. Just me telling him that and telling him that I remembered him rapping in the park when I was growing up. It went from one show to 5 years.
Wow.
So a lot of people do know this, and a lot of people don't know this. So I toured the world with Coolio. I made my dream come true.
Wow.
And that led to me living in New Zealand, having some kids out there. Shout outs to my daughter Eliana and my son Kahuriki, little Kiki, And I ended up traveling the world, and Coolio used to always make us freestyle to break the nerves before we go on a big stage. But I was like, dude, I'm a DJ. I don't rap. And he's like, you're gonna learn. And I ended up learning how to rap by freestyling with him. And then, freestyling always with my little cousin Huerta, my homie Tanner, my homeboy County. We all kind of like would just mess around. I had the keyboard and the MP. They were like my rappers. They were like my N.W.A. And somehow I ended up falling in love with rap. So I started rapping.
Yeah.
And like creating songs. And as a DJ, my job is to listen to everything.
Yeah.
And I am Latino, I am Mexicano, so I also listen to all the Spanish music.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But I started rapping in English because I was like, wait a minute. I know all the top dogs.
Yeah.
I could just go straight to the top.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
Absolutely.
it took a minute because a lot of my friends that you have had on here, like Zapata, it took us a minute to realize what we were doing because we were rapping so much in English. And it had took me so much to get accepted
Right.
by my neighbors. You feel me? My niggas.
Yeah.
You feel me? It took a minute. And then when I finally got it, I was like, whoa, I got this. Right? They didn't go nowhere though.
Yeah.
It's the honest truth. You know, I'm dropping songs. And I'm like, whoa, this ain't picking up. This ain't picking up. So a lot of people don't know. I went, and then a lot of people do know.
Yeah.
I went and wrote for the godfather of Mexican rap. And that's Kid Frost.
Wow.
So I got blessed. Shout out to my brother Superman from Rascon. He is one of the big homies that was just like, fuck it, I got some money, let's shoot some videos. I love you.
Yeah.
You know, so we're shooting videos, and somehow we ended up being around Slim the Mobster, that is Dr. Dre's ghostwriter.
Wow.
You feel me?
Wow.
So I ended up chilling with him, and he gave me some advice. He was like, maybe you should grab one of these OGs and put some pen behind them. So, you know,
serious game.
Yeah.
That's like serious level game.
Yeah. So I knew somebody I know my brother Casino, he was doing some work with Kid Frost.
Wow.
And I was like, you know, like the hungry man I am, let me get in there. Let me get in there. Let me pin something.
Yeah.
Let me pin something. You know, and you know, if you keep asking, somebody's gonna say yeah.
Just like at the record store.
Yeah, just like the record store. So they said yeah. And here I go. Just, you know, my wife tells me this all the time. Shout out to my wife. Holds me down all the time. Sometimes I'm too nice, you know, and I didn't know the business at the time.
Yeah.
So I was just having fun. I'm writing 2 to 3 songs a day. You put a beat on, I'm writing.
Wow.
You know, here you go. Here you go. Here you go. And, you know, I learned the hardest lesson I had ever learned in hip hop. You know, it's not a cipher no more. It's a business.
Yeah.
You know, and it was crazy. It hurt because I respect Kid Frost so much, and I love this dude so much. You know, him and Mellow Man Ace were my first ever cassette.
Yeah.
You know, like I saved my own money and I'm buying a cassette, and I went and bought Mentirosa and I went and bought La Raza. These were songs that were just monumental to me. So for me to be able to write for Frost, man, I gave him the pen. I put bars. When I when I hear people say, man, those songs are bad, I'd be like, that's me. You know, I wrote that. I wrote that. One time I was with West Coast Cam, shout out to my brother Cam from Watts. We went and did a tour, and Frost was one of the artists, and he's like, yo, why is Frost sounding like you? Because my black friends know my flow.
Right. They know the way you put the words together.
They know because I'm around them. That's how I started this flow.
Yeah.
You feel me? And I was so happy to hear Brother Cam tell me, yo, why is this fool sounding like him? So my other black homeboy was like, because he knew that I had wrote for Frost. He was like, because it is that nigga. Keep me goddamn songs. Especially this song, California. It's a big hit. I wrote that song. So all you people that have been downloading it and all that, please believe I put the pen to that whole verse. The hook was my idea, all of that. That's real talk.
Yeah.
Ask Frost. He's going to let you know. You feel me? And that devastation of not being paid for my work, like, it kind of like destroyed me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you go and you write your ass off to one of the guys that you kind of look up to without even knowing, you know, like all the Mexican rappers need to look up to Kid Frost.
Yeah.
It's hands down, no matter what. And, you know, a lot of people have bad runs in with the man, but we still owe it to him and Mellow Mayonnaise for being the first out here doing that. So without them, we wouldn't have this other genre of music in hip hop, and that's Latino hip hop. You know, so shout outs to the pioneers. I will never forget that. But in saying that, it broke my heart to even tell him, like, man, you just, you know what I mean? You took my money. But it taught me like business in a way, you know what I mean? And it taught me that don't trust anybody here because, you know, everyone's hungry. Yeah. Everyone's hungry. And you know, the hunger will make people do weird things, you know? And I'm saying that because it's still happening to me. You know, sometimes I'm just too nice, you know? And it devastated me that I was like, I don't want to do this shit no more. I don't want to do this no more. I am done. Yeah. And one of my friends, well, all my friends in the music were like, nah, you know? So my brother, Man Hablado, Extract Films, has been one of the dudes that's just, since we met, he was like, I'm going to stop rapping. He was a rapper, and he was a big Spanish rapper, and he was like, I'm going to stop rapping so I can make you beats. Wow. I'm going to go buy a camera so I can shoot your videos. Wow. So this is my bro, right? He was the one that told me, let's write him one song and get the hell out of here. And I'm like, no, let's write him an album, and you're going to produce it. So Man Hablado took the hit with me. They gave us a box of CDs and told us to sell it and keep the money. I gave those shits away. Yeah. Anyways, he called me and was like, no, we're not going to give up. This is what we're going to do. I'm going to make you a beat. You're going to write a song. We're going to shoot a video to it. So I did. It's called What's Up, My Boys Out There. But it wasn't enough for me. I'm still feeling weird about it. You know what I mean? I recorded the song. We were like, let's push it out. I'm performing it here and there. It still wasn't. And I'm going home to my hood, and I'm telling the homies, like, I don't think I could continue to do this. Wow. So one of my brothers is my brother Chopper. Shouts to my brother Chopper. Yeah. Without Daniel, I would have never made this. Yeah. You know, he said, check it out. I found out Yella, because look, my friends know me. Again, let's go back. I'm a DJ at heart. So the guy that I look up to, like when I was a kid, I was like, I'm going to be him, was DJ Yella. Yeah. So he was like, why don't you grab your N.W.A. records? Let's go get an autograph, smoke a couple blunts, and then maybe that will pump you back up to become, you know, to finish this rap stuff.
You got all this talent, you got all these connections. Yeah. You know, but like, ups and downs, just go back up.
I don't know Yella at all. I'm going as a fan, right? And I'm like, all right, let's go. Now, I've known Eric, that's Lil Eazy, since we were kids. Wow. You know, he was a kid. So I was his first DJ, by the way. So something happened where we kind of went like this. Right? Life, right? I moved to New Zealand. I came back. I started rebuilding. Couldn't find him. He was already moving to another level that I couldn't get to. So I don't know none of these ruthless cats. I'm going to go get some autographs, vent a little bit, you know what I mean? Smoke some blunts, and maybe come back and record another album. Yeah. That was what the plan was. So we're driving. We get there. We're actually the last people in line, right? I'm like, bro, this is a long line. And he's like, so what? We're here already. We drove an hour and a half to get there. Yeah. You know, Oxnard. So we're like, all right, let's chill.
It was an Oxnard?
Passing by. Yeah, we drove to Oxnard.
Yeah.
People kind of, people are kind of passing by. Oh, some people recognizing me. Hey, hi, can I take a picture with you? Blah, blah. We get towards the door. And he's like, that's why I love my friends, bro. Chopper was like, and this is my boy from my hood, bro. He was like, you could get an autograph. Or he pulls out one of my CDs out of his pocket and he goes, or you can make him your DJ. Make those motherfuckers listen to what's on here, bro. Now, I don't know what's on the CD.
Right, he just pulled it out. He had it
He pulled it
planned.
out.
He had it planned.
With a black marker, it said Kiki Smooth. I'm like, all right, so let me tell you this. I got to tell you this to tell you what's next. My mom's first job in Compton was Louis Burgers. It's the most. It ain't Tams. You know how they've been promoting Tams? It ain't that. The biggest hamburger stand out of Compton is Louis Burgers. Everybody knows the chili dog, chili cheese fries is the best at Louis Burgers. My mom was one of the first persons to ever work there. That means Easy, Dre, and all of N.W.A members. Cube, Ren walked into that place. So they know Maria, right? So now let's go back. I get to the front. My homeboy Chopper goes, good luck. I'm like, you're not gonna stand here? He's like, I'm gonna go to the car and roll some blunts. You better make him your DJ. Boom, it's my turn. I get his autograph and I start to notice people that I kind of know from Compton there. So this guy named Kid was there. We all lived on Willow Street. I told you, Game lived on Willow Street. The guy that manages Exhibit lived on Willow Street, and we all know each other. So the guy, his name is Tato. Shout out to my brother Tato. He shout out to everybody in Exhibit's camp. Tato and me and Game, we all used to play, eat together, all that. So I know Tato's dad. Tato dad used rolls with Yella. So I took my shot. I said, check it out, OG. I don't want just your autograph. He said, what's going on? I said, I want you to be my DJ. I'm here to make you my DJ. And he said, why would I do that? I told him, because I have the same attitude you have. And he looked at me and I said, ask him. And he looked at me and he goes, oh yeah, you're Maria's kid. Yeah, he one of us. I said, I just want y'all to hear one song. I told him, I don't even know what song is on here. It was this song called One Call. Boom, 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 boom. And shout out to my brother, Man Hablado. He produced that. It was a song that he was going to do for himself. I woke up, I heard the beat, laid it. Yella and them were like, you know, bouncing their head. And they were like, all right, leave me your number. It took like 2 to 3 weeks. And let me just do this real quick. Thank you, Lord. Yella said, I'm going to take you on. And yeah, I literally went pale that day. I was like, what? Like, say what? I'm taking you on. We're going to do a mixtape together. And I'm like, wow. So we made the deal with the people from Oxnard. It was like a recording studio, 5150, that we would record the mixtape there. So, you know, we're taking them 1 to 2 hour drives to the studio with Yella, like the guy that you just want to grow up to, right? To become. And he was like, you're the first Mexican rapper out of Compton. I was just like, man, say what? Yeah. So he was like, you should try to rap in Spanish. I'm like, I don't rap in Spanish. I speak it fluently. I don't rap in Spanish. I don't rap in Spanish. And he was like, why? I like, I don't want to rap in Spanish. Because it had took me so long to get, quote unquote, except, you know how all these new rappers are just being put out? And I'm talking about Mexicans? That wasn't happening when we were coming up. When Zapata, you know, that wasn't happening. They weren't taking a chance on Mexicans for some reason. You know, but Yella took his, Yella did everything. Yella did he took me on tour. He rekindled me and Eric together. And I wrote Eric's verse on that mixtape,
Wow.
you know, just for him to go, hey, Kiki's gonna go ahead and write you the verse. We're gonna go. You're gonna come down and record it. That already was crazy for me.
Wow.
And me and Eric got to talk because of Yella. You know, Yella's a preacher, so it's all love with him. And he taught me about the history of our music and DJing. Think about for a month driving with your mentor every weekend to Oxnard. So he thought I would be asking questions about Dre and, you know, or Cube. I'm asking him questions about DJing.
Yeah.
Who taught you how to scratch? How did you? Because people forget, if there was never a DJ, there would never be hip hop.
It's the first element. DJing is the first element.
Feel me?
Yeah.
I didn't want to know about how Cube wrote songs or Rent. No, I wanted to know what got you into hip hop. What was the movement of the arm of scratching, and all these beautiful stories that he would tell me was just running in my head, you know.
Yeah.
But I would still not let the DJ out for some reason, you know. Like the DJ was still, it was staying in my heart because I had a job to do, and that was write some rap, and I had to write some music that Yella was gonna pick.
Yeah.
The guy that did all the N.W.A. records.
Straight out of Compton. I mean, it does not get more legendary than that.
Right. And when he told me I've only done tapes with Easy, BG Knockout, and now you, that alone, that's another racket that you know what I mean? Like, I didn't get the big, you know, but I got to be in that.
Yeah.
I could say, you know, I'm in that. I'm in Yella's book. He wrote a book. He mentioned me in that. I get the chills when I say that. You know, like my idol, my mentor is DJ Yella, my big dog. You know, that's why I always call him OGs. Like that's my OG right there.
Yeah.
That, you know, everyone's gonna have someone. I didn't like. How can I say? I didn't have like a person that told me what to do in hip hop. You know, until I met Yella.
Yeah.
And that was like the ultimate. We gave it that go. But it's just like the OG never toured the world. The OG was, you know, the guy that got left behind. So one day we're driving to Oxnard and he drops a big old movie script on my lap. And he's like, look, they're doing a movie about our lives in N.W.A. And I'm reading the script, bro. I got to read the script.
The movie's
you know,
a big hit now. The movie already came out. You had the script before it happened.
Yes. And it was the first draft. I think it got rewritten a shitload of times. But even that, just him telling me, come to this movie studio. I want you to watch what these actors had to go through because this is what I expect for you when we go back on tour. Wow. And it was just learning how to perform even sicker. But my performance comes from 5 years of DJing with Coolio. Yeah. Now, let me tell y'all this. Coolio is one of the greatest entertainers you would ever see live with your two eyes. He brings in drama. He brings in music. It's like a play with hip hop. Coolio is the man. Yeah. So my first ever rap show that I put together by myself, because I used to throw house parties and, you know, backyard parties, flyer parties, that I know how to throw my own shows. Yeah. Coolio was there. And I told him, tell me if I got it or I don't. And he told me I got it. So 5 years after that, I met Yella. And Yella said, yo, like, how are you like this natural performer? I'm like, oh, man, that's Coolio. That's Coolio all the way, yo. Coolio and the homie Ghost Smoke, baddest entertainers that you could see for 5 years. Wow. Coolio's like, we had a band and dancers. And he's like, wait a minute. Why is Devious not moving? I'm like, I'm not a dancer. Cool, I'm a DJ. No, you're going to move this way when the band moves this way. You're going to move. So I learned entertainment. So by the time I got with Yella, it was just nothing. Let's go. Let's go get them. You know, baseball fields of people. You know, and it's just, it got to a point where they weren't moving. It wasn't moving. No matter how hard we tried, it was like, oh, you sound too black.
Right.
Oh, you're not Mexican enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like what?
Yeah.
Huh?
Too
Now
Latin
you
for
hear
hip hop.
these
Too
young.
hip hop for Latin.
Yeah, it's like, oh, he's just, like, you're not black enough, and you're not Mexican enough. Like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Like you sound black, but you're not black. And I'm like, huh? And now you hear all these young
Yeah.
cats, they throwing out the N-word left and right. I never even did that, and I have it in my language because I live in that type of community.
Exactly.
So you hear the nigga here and all that, but these are my friends. These are my best friends that I grew up with.
Yeah.
You feel me? So I'm not disrespecting anybody by thinking I'm this, but I am that.
Right.
I didn't grow up in East Los. I grew up in Compton and Watts. We're way different.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got the long socks and all that too, but we don't talk like y'all.
Yeah.
And then, me, Spanish is my first language.
Yeah.
Me talking to some of these gangsters, they don't even super SS and can't even speak a word of Spanish.
Yeah.
So the idea of the first Mexican rapper out of Compton was Yella, and Yella always wanted me to rap in Spanish.
Yeah.
But I kept fighting it until one day, that same producer that used to be this big old Mexican rapper said, I got an idea, and I want you to trust me on this idea. Now, I'm going to tell y'all all this. Everybody that's tuning in or anybody that sees this will let you know I'm a very competitive person, DJing, rapping, whatever. And I refuse to allow people to write for me. But these ain't people. These are family members.
Yeah.
Feel me? That look out for me, that understands me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he's like, I wrote this song called Somos de Compton. And I was like, nah, another Compton song. You know how many Compton songs I got? You from Compton. Everybody wants to throw you on a Compton song. I swear to you. And I'm like, oh, bro. Especially being the first Mexican rapper out of Compton, they want to put you on all kinds of songs like that. And I was just telling him that he was like, it's the first Spanish song coming out of Compton, Kiki. It took me almost 6 months to like 8 months to say yeah.
Wow.
Right? Because I didn't want to let go of what I had. Took me so long to build. The respect of my niggas and the respect in the cipher. You know what I mean? And it was just more of like, it's time to change the chapter in my career.
Yeah.
Like,
change.
How do I reinvent myself?
Yeah.
So I went and called him. And I said, all right, send it to me. So he sent it to me. And what I did, I just wrote it on a piece of paper, like if I would have wrote it, and gave it my delivery.
Yeah.
Because that was the thing with with learning with Frost. I had to teach him my delivery. I had to teach him what I'm saying because when I rap in English, I do sound black and I will say words differently.
Yeah.
And so that kind of was like, all right, how am I going to take that I built into the Spanish world?
Yeah.
So I was like, I can't sound like Man Hablado because Man Hablado sounds like those Spanish rappers. And I was like, I'm going to be me on these Spanish words. So I took it and I went and recorded it with a black person.
Yeah. Right.
So my nigga was like, yo, I laid out the hook and the verses and he was like, yo, bro, you sound like a black guy rapping in Spanish. And I was like, God damn it. They're going to hate it. The Mexican people are going to hate it. And it was weird because a lot of the Mexicans were like, oh, you sound black. But see, I tell this to a lot of people. The first Mexican rapper out of Compton has more black fans than actual Mexicano fans. But now it's changed. But in the beginning, it was more that. And when that song came out, we went out to like 100,000. Oh, wait. 100,000 and like couple weeks because it was around when Nipsey died.
Yeah.
You know, so it was, music is timing too.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, it's a big part of it.
And LA was like, we had lost a god. So it was like real big unity at the time. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So it was crazy because I had got signed to Ruthless, and I shot and recorded the first ever complete Spanish song out of Compton, and shot the video where they invented N.W.A. at Eazy-E's mom's house.
So the
So
video
if anybody
for
is
that
not
video
seeing
of
this
Somos
song,
de Compton is at
Somos,
Eazy-E's mom's house.
yes. So that backyard is Eazy-E's mom's house, and that garage is where they invented N.W.A. And Somos de Compton is the first ever Spanish song out of Compton.
Wow.
Hip hop song out of Compton. Yeah, we did that. And shout out to my brother Man Hablado. A lot of cats don't give credit, like Kid Frost, to people that wrote the song.
Yeah.
You know? And I do.
Yeah.
And that was Man Hablado shot the video, did everything, bro. Man, shout outs to him and his family. And so I go hit the streets, and one of my black friends tell me, now you're really the first Mexican rapper out of Compton. And it tripped me out. I was like, well, why? And he's like, because you're talking to your people now. Yeah. And it never hit me like that. Like, oh, wow. I'm going to go more deep. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, so I ended up creating a 3x3. So with this company called West Coast Creations, shout out to the homies from West Coast Creations. Another like a little label that just believes in rappers like me, Zapata. They've done work with Zapata the Ghost. I've been knowing them since day one. Shouts to the block, Too Much. You know what I mean? Hitman. These are dudes that I came up with in the rap game. Always see each other, making tracks with each other. So I'm gonna always mention them because they are part of my history too. So I ended up doing the 3x3, and it's with La Sinfonía. Yeah. Now these guys are Grammy nominated, but they're some of my best friends. Yeah. So I was like, hey guys, this is COVID. You can't go to people's houses and all that. You know what I mean? This is during COVID. So I'm like, hey guys, I got this opportunity, and I'm having hard time writing a song. Shouts to Beat Ready. Beat Ready and the Beat Factory sent me some amazing beats that I was like, oh no, I need help. My Hablado was just too busy. So shout outs to Arsenal and Says. They took on the job of helping me write one more song. And that's all they told me. We're not going to write this 3 songs for you. We're going to write one. Yeah. And that was Amigo.
They wrote you a hit. Here's a hit.
Here's a hit. I still put my little but these are my best friends, bro, and they're Grammy nominated. They make hits. They're hit makers. But then I have another friend named Bobby Castro. Bobby Castro is another person you need to interview. He's from our time era too. He did what he did it before all of us. He went from rapping, he's got a secret album with Glasses Malone. Let me just say that. He is one of the sickest MCs that you could ever hear rap. But he went over to the Spanish side and started writing corridos. And then gets like a major deal with Sony and all this. So all the rappers he knows we're watching him just flip the page.
Right, he blew up like in a whole other genre.
In less than a year. My man blew up. And I was like, whoa. So, me being the guy that I am, I'm cheering him on. Yeah. Some people are hating. I'm cheering him on. Flip the page on these dudes. Yeah. I'm cheering them on. So I need one more song to complete that project. And I was like, I'm going to approach my brother and see in his busy schedule if he does a song with me. Yeah. So I know him that he's a competitive rapper. So I knew that this verse had to be one of the best Spanish verses that I could ever do. And now I don't have help. Mano Hablado ain't going to help me. La Sinfonía ain't going to help me. That was the plan. So I had to put the best bars that I could ever come to. And you know what? That was it. After that song, it's called, what is it, Bobby Castro and Me? What is that song called? Dude, I just had a brain fart. But go check it out. It's called Originales on YouTube. It's out everywhere too, but go check that out. That verse right there changed my life.
Wow.
That right there just made it happen for me as an MC to say I'm officially a Spanish rapper.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And that just changed everything, and that's when I really became the first Mexican rapper out of Compton.
That's dope, bro.
You know? And Yella was so proud. Like having these conversations with Yella, just that's what I was talking about, youngster. You needed to give your people something. So saying that, being part of the Ruthless family, you know, I'm ready to start my journey as a Spanish artist.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I wrote the Compton album.
Yeah.
So I want to tell everybody the difference between Compton and Compton.
Yeah.
So Compton is like the term in prison. So my brother went to prison and he came out and he has Compton tatted on the back of his neck. So I was like, I'm representing that, right?
Yeah.
I'm representing that culture with this album. So I wrote it down on a piece of paper. So it's COMPTONE.
Yeah.
And I underlined the ONE part because I was the one that needed to bring that word out.
Yeah.
And that's why I named it that. I named it Compton because of the last three letters that spell one.
Yeah.
It's the first Mexican rapper out of Compton that could only do that.
Yeah.
The first, the one.
It's good.
So that made me really put this energy into writing these songs. And, you know, I don't know what it is with the industry and me. Like, oh, he's not Mexican enough. He sounds black on the songs. And the black people are going, hell yeah, kill him, Kiki, kill him, Kiki. And the Mexicans are like, oh, you know, it took a little bit more of me going, all right, you know what? I'm not even tripping on the audience. I'm going to do this music for my people and my mom and them. So I asked my mom, like, hey, remember when we was a kids and you would play this guy, like he had a picture with an accordion? Like, what's his name?
Yeah.
And she was like, Anaceto Molina.
Yeah.
So, all right. That day, my producer, my best friend, Aman Hablado, he lives in Bakersfield. That's another 2 hours, hour and a half. I got up and drove over there. At that time, everybody was doing the little flute samples. You know what I mean? He's like, I got some beats, and they were flutes. And I was telling him, what if, instead of sampling some other culture, we sampled this guy?
Yeah.
And it was a cumbia track.
Yeah.
And he's like, I don't know, bro. You know, like, we've built this image of the first Mexican rapper out of Compton. And I'm like, man, I'm tired of that. I'm just a human being that loves music. I love music. Feel me? I love it all. I'm still a DJ at heart at that time.
Yeah.
So I'm all like, I want to blend our sounds. And we did Pa Los Lados, and boy, that just
blew up.
Changed. I ended up performing it at the Compton Parade. And this is the first time I see black people dancing to cumbias, and not just that. Now I'm seeing older Latinos dancing to my music. Kids dancing to my music. And it has no cuss words on that whole song. You know, I wrote it with no cuss words to be able to perform it anywhere. And everybody was like, are you sure this is what you want to do? And I'm like, yeah. And I got to do it in front of a whole baseball field.
Crazy.
And, you know, like just touring with doing that style of music was just amazing, right? But me and my cousin Huerta, we put the songs down for that album, and my cousin was like, "You're missing one, bro. You're missing one." And I'm all like, all right. So the guy that directed the movie for the Tupac, the All Eyes on Me,
Yeah.
his name is Benny Boom. Benny Boom has a son that produces for like big people, Rick Ross, you know, big people.
Yeah.
I was like, can Uncle Smooth have some beats because I need a single? So he sends me a batch of beats, and in that batch was Peligrosa. And I was like, oh, so look,
Yeah,
I
we got
called
a hit
the
right. This is a hit.
Yeah, I called up Arsenal, and I was, no, man hablado. And he was like, I don't know, bro. And I was like, they're not hearing what I'm hearing. I'm like, you know what? Forget this. I went in, boom, pushed to the side, and I just started thinking about my wife. You know, gangster girls,
Yeah.
dangerous. That's what peligrosa means, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, I'm going to write the song about her, right? So I started writing, and I'm all like, I'm going to write Eric a verse. So I called Lil Eazy, and I told him, yo, I got a beat from Whoopty Whoop. I'm going to write you a verse. He's like, send it. I write him the verse. And I always wanted to say this on Crip. I don't know why. I always wanted to hear someone say that on a song. So I opened up the verse on Crip. I got the cookie whip, you know, and people were like, you wrote that? And it's crazy because Eric tells people I wrote that. And he gave me all the publishing on that, you know? And this guy named, I did the release party. We're excited. One of my homeboys, Jimmy Lokes, heard the song at the release party and was like, bro, I have a connection to a Mexico rapper named Remick that's blowing up.
Yeah.
How about we do the remix, we shoot the video in Mexico, and we put it out? And shout out to Remick and his camp, and shout out to Jimmy Lokes. He put that together, and it did what it did.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
He was really smart. He was a good visionary too. He could take these LA elements, combine it with the Mexico elements, and
Yeah.
boom.
You know, I just saw him like 2 weeks ago, and I can never stop thanking him. You know, like it was his vision, it was his baby. He said he heard the song, and he's like, yo, we put another Spanish rapper with Easy, it's just gonna take off. And you know, it did what it did. And you know, luckily we got to do that.
Yeah.
You know, and the video came out dope. You know, just seeing the Mexican culture, the black culture all into one, you know, it's just an amazing thing. If you look at the Amigos video, I have my black friends in there too.
Yeah.
Because the song's about show me your friends and I'll tell you who you are.
Yeah.
So even that I'm rapping in Spanish, these are my friends too. You know, and it's just, you know, like I have cousins that are half black. You know, my culture is like that. I represent everyone, you know.
Yeah.
I also represent communities. You know, I don't just represent Mexicans. I represent my communities where I live that, and I love being a part of my community no matter what, you know.
Yeah,
and that's just how I've been raised, and that's just how I go with, you know, with me moving forward. So we ended up I ended up, you know, having another bad business trip with that album. I was signed to Hub City Music. So they're more of a banda, you know, classical Mexican mariachi type of record label. They heard Spanish rap, so they figured we'll be able to push this guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I believe they dropped the ball. I'm just gonna be real.
Yeah.
I believe that they didn't understood what it was. Me and Benny Boom is one of the biggest directors in all of hip hop.
Yeah.
And he believed, you know, that was his son's big first, you know, Latino track. He wanted it to hit #1, so he kept pushing the label to do. I'm gonna say this: Ruthless did their part. They gave us the name. I'm repping Ruthless. You know, the management and all that, they dropped the ball. So it was just weird to be able to like put your heart out to it. And, you know, it was another strong, harsh, you know, pill to swallow. So luckily, like I tell people, they're like, are you signed to Ruthless? So I just want to explain this to everyone.
Yeah.
I am part of the Ruthless family.
Yeah.
Me and Eric have known each other all our hip hop life.
Yeah.
His grandma calls me son.
Yeah.
I don't need a contract. I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah.
I'm Ruthless till I die.
Yeah.
Feel me? That's like saying I'm from LA and now I get to play for the Lakers.
Right.
I'm from Compton.
Yeah.
I'm part of Ruthless Records.
Yeah.
You know? So when people ask me, are you signed? I'm beyond signed.
Yeah.
I have a life contract. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So to be able to, you know, bring in talent, shout outs to my brother Caesar Laughter, Hub City Queen, Killer Lev, ESAC, you know, Too Much. These are all people that I've brought to the table for Ruthless. And they're Latinos.
Yeah.
You know? And more Latinos have come to the table, and I always wanted to I am a DJ again.
Yeah.
And I love making music together. You know, that's just what DJs do. So Los Asociados is a well-known group through Compton, South Central, all through these boroughs right here. And these cities, these gutters, they know Los Asociados. And I was a fan of theirs since I had saw them with the guitars in front of the Compton Court building. I was blown away, but their management wouldn't let me work with them, right? I always had this vision of collaborating with someone like that since I'm doing Spanish music.
Yeah.
Just wanted to take it in there, you know? And it was crazy because a couple years later, they get let go and they end up on the Ruthless building and being signed to Ruthless Records. And I'm like, say what? Oh,
It's odd.
I drove my butt I drove over there and told them personally, I want to work with you guys. Really, I wish they were on here. I think I told them to get on here, man. Cause
Yeah. I saw Asociados before, but it's hard to see if they're on or not.
Yeah, because this album that we're about to drop at the end of this month is one of the sickest. Like, we put two worlds together, you know? We literally put two worlds together. And so the album is called Evolution.
Yeah.
And Evolución for a reason, because we created a new genre. If you listen to Evolución and you hear the guitars and then those badass hip hop drums, shout out to my brother Choco. It was just a bunch of men for 4 hours. Nothing was written. Everything was done there. You know, like nowadays you can't even get a guy to come and collaborate with you at the studio. Oh, send me the stands.
Right,
I got my
over the internet.
Yeah, like nobody wants to be in the studio with you no more. You know, and like that's weird to me. You know, like, oh, like I want to cook with you, but I'm gonna cook in my kitchen and you cook in your kitchen, huh? You know, like well, when am I gonna taste it? You know, and it's like, oh, you gotta wait till I send it back to you. Nah, man. So it was dope to have the guys go up there with the guitar, the bass player, and I was like, don't worry about nothing else. And they were like, why? I'm like, because the MP's gonna be the drum.
Yeah.
Like, and they were like, you sure? I'm like, trust me, bro. And we didn't have no riffs or nothing. So, you know, we rolled, you know, a little some, and they started playing. And we were like, yo, that's the lick. So we started recording, and I just went away and started dotting those verses down, and it created this sound. So you know how they say there's corridos tumbados?
Yeah.
We've created hip-hop corridos.
Wow.
Again, Compa T, he can't go live with us, huh?
You want to bring him in here?
Yeah, can we?
Let's see.
Compa T. See if we could get them in. Y'all about to get a little special guest on how we create magic. You know, a lot of people don't understand. We don't care. There he is. I think Compa T.
What up? What up, my
Peace,
boy?
peace,
Right there.
peace,
He got
peace.
the glow. Hey, T. Shout out to my brother Compa T. And Dre. Can we get Dre in there? Can we get 4 people in there?
We can. Yeah, I think we could do. I
Yeah,
think
let's
4 is
get
the
Dre
limit.
in there, too. Let's get Dre in there.
All right, let's see if we can get Dre in here.
What up? What up? How's
Peace,
everybody?
peace.
We're good, bro. That's tight. That's tight. See, that's what I'm talking about.
Yo.
Yo,
What up,
Peace,
fellas?
peace.
Hey, what's up, my boy Kiki? What's up, Cristopolis?
Hey, what up? What
Peace,
up?
Thanks
peace,
for having
peace.
us on the show, man.
Thank you, my brothers. It's an honor to have you on. He's talking about the new album that you guys are about to drop. So it was perfect that you guys were here so that we could talk about it. Kiki, you wanna coordinate how what information is given? I don't know what the people can know, what they can't know.
They can know everything. The album is dropping May 30th. Well, it's an EP. The EP's dropping May 30th. You know, we have another cumbia song on there. We got a song with our brother Too Much. Like I was telling you, these 2 guys right here, I always wanted to work with them.
Yeah.
And just the minute they signed to Ruthless, what we do, guys?
Man, we started fucking shit up.
Yeah.
I just
shit went straight to the
have a little
studio.
taste of what you got in the vault.
Yeah.
And it was
dope.
was really dope because they write their own stuff. You feel me? They write and they play, and you know it was crazy because we go in the studio and we knock out a song completely.
Yeah.
Without rehearsing.
Without
even
rehearsing,
planning it at all.
something like that. You know, the song gets written, it gets recorded, and we ready to go after that. You know? So the first song we recorded was Evolución. Go ahead, Dre, let them know how it went on the studio.
Man, we just met up in the studio one time. We didn't even plan nothing out at all. You know, we were just, vibing. It was a whole vibe. Everything was magical, man. And man, we came up with a perfect recipe.
Yeah.
It was that's the word, the recipe, because they're part of one style of music.
Yeah.
And I'm a part of another style of music. And we found the balance in between those styles. Yeah. So some people don't understand that, cadences and metrodome, the BPMs are important in music, and we found the level of it. So when we were recording Evolución, how did you come up with that lick, T? It was just freestyle, huh?
We just freestyle, I got the guitar. It's a funny thing because when I was younger, I used to be rapping, trying to be a rapper and stuff. And then that's how I was like, man, you know what? I'm gonna start writing my own shit, because I used to sing about fucking corridos about Mexico and all the narcos and shit like that, right? So I was like, man, you know what? I decided to write my own shit around the hood with actual ghosts around me, So that's how the hook corridos came out about. That's how we set up the team. Like, all right, fuck it, let's make a name for ourselves,
Yeah.
So that's how we started doing the hook corridos. So we were like, fuck it, we're already part of this rap stuff. Let's try to make something different. So I just grabbed the guitar and we were in the studio. We're like, fuck it, let me try it out. And I was like, let me see real quick. And I was like, and then that shit went like. Like, fuck it,
it makes you vibe.
Yeah.
So that's how we started. I told Trey, hey, let's do a little hook, and we had like a little something, we were humming it at first, and then we're all right, let's fuck it, and then the juego And then we were like, oh, fuck it, yeah, let's write. And then little by little, we wrote everything right there in the studio. Like basically, it took us like less than 30 minutes, 15 minutes probably.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right
You
there.
know, so these guys, before I approached them, I saw them singing "Boys in the Hood" with guitars in front of the Compton court building.
So
So that already had told me that they had it in them.
Performed that Too Short.
Or Too Short with guitars, though.
I'm a player.
Yeah, so that told me already that they had hip hop in them.
Yeah.
So it was possible to create this sound.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I mean, without these gentlemen believing in me and me believing in them, this Evolución would have never happened. And you know, I've been trying to do this. It was years when I had saw them. So when they got to Ruthless, trust me, bro, I ran over there. I was like, I need to work with you guys. I need to work with you guys right now.
Yeah.
You know, and it was dope because they put their time and energy into it.
Yeah.
Then we went back and I was like, listen, fellas, I know this is completely left field, but I want to do a cumbia. And they were like, let's go, because you know, cumbias in any Spanish party, that's what cracks the party.
It's on.
That's like ratchet music for Mexicans. I swear to God. Cumbias are like ratchet music for Mexicans. Like, it just gets them dancing. You know what I mean? And we ended up doing a song that's being released next month, and it's called Cumbia TikTok, and it's featuring Azteca and my little cousin Huerta. You know, I brought in a bunch of people. I brought my cousin Chico that plays accordion, and you know, I brought these two gentlemen, and we ended up just knocking out some incredible music for the culture, and it's dropping May 30th on all digital platforms. You feel me? So this is, you know, us letting the world know that here comes Evolución, and we've been working on this sound and perfecting it. I've heard a couple cats try it. I'm not saying that they're biting us, because you know these guys are from South Central and I'm from Compton, so you know these gutters are different than the East Los gutters. You know, like our streets are completely different than East Los. And all respect to the MCs from the Valley and East Los and all that, but Compton, South Central, Watts, we have a different little twang to our sound. You know, and having these two guys plus me and Choco Beats, shout outs to Choco Beats. You know, like that producer right there. He's produced a lot of major things in the Latino culture, and for him to just listen to the sound and be like, I'm in completely 100%, was just another sauce added to this album Evolución. And it's dope because we've been working on a short film with this music too. So, you know, we've been doing that. And, you know, shout outs to my brother LV that just dropped the movie Horchata with Oat Milk. I have a song on that movie too.
Horchata with Oat Milk is blowing up everywhere right now.
Yeah, and one of my songs is on there. My first song, Dope Man, is on that movie. Shout outs to LV, the director. And so now we're working on more stuff. You know, Evolución is going to be a lot of videos and a lot of promoting, and you know, a lot of new content coming with this new Spanish corrido hip hop. You know, we invented a sound that we just ain't gonna just drop a little EP and be done. So please believe we're gonna be having an album coming for you guys soon too. We're all. And again, you know, at the time when we were writing the songs, we weren't all in a good position to be able to push the songs and commit to the songs the way we are now. You know, like, we're in a better place. Some people don't understand, like, it's a big commitment to put out a record.
It's a lot of emotion too, right? You got to be right in life, and everything needs to kind of align for the magic to happen.
Yes, you gotta, you know, understand and believe in yourself that God's got your back, and you know the energy that you're putting forward is good energy. If you have any bad energy around you, you know, that's why Nipsey used to say not everyone could go. You know, and the higher you get, the smaller the circles get. You know, in the studio it's just us three, because you know we're going to work. You know, we really believe in this project. And, you know, we dropped this video last year and I kind of was giving up on it. These two guys right here were like, no. And it's because we were all in a life that had to get better. You know, life catches up with you, especially when you really want to be, you know, an adult about the situations. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So it's really dope to have people like Dre and T that believe in you and in the sound that we've created, because, you know, like when you create something that no one's ever tasted, you kind of got to give it to them.
Yeah.
And like, here, taste it. You know, like we're like the Costco guys outside right now. Like, here, try this. You're gonna love it. You know,
Right,
my phone
Evolución was the sample. Now you're gonna give them the project, and then you're gonna give them a case.
Yeah,
You're gonna give them a whole
yeah,
case.
They're gonna want
yeah.
more. They're gonna
They're
want
gonna
more.
want more.
Yeah.
We're dropping it at all stores, all Costco's May 30th. You know what I mean?
That's
Dropping it
good.
at all Costco's. You
Now
don't find us like
for
that.
people to for people in the area, right? For people in LA and surrounding areas, is there gonna be like a release event? Is there a way that they could go listen to you guys perform this live?
Man,
Well, you know what? I think we're gonna do that. I'm just humbled by the situation of us being able to finally release this EP the way we imagined it.
Yeah.
You know, and that's videos, reels. You know, life is the industry has changed for people like us three as songwriters, and you know, this digital world has really had to like step back, reevaluate ourselves, and understand what's in front of us.
Yeah.
Now that we understand what's in front of us, we're committed to do all of that work. So you're gonna definitely find us doing shows.
Yeah.
You know, maybe not a release party for this EP, but a release party definitely for the album. You know, this is more of us putting out 3 songs EP. We're shooting out some big videos, but we are going to be doing, you know, a lot of shows in the summer. We're part of Ruthless Records, and that's what we do. Shout out to Lil Eazy, because that's one thing Eazy does. If you want to go with him, we could definitely go, and we could always open up.
Yeah.
You know, so the market's there. The merch is coming, the Evolución merch. I have this one out right now, the Eazy-E Street with the collab of 187 Huda. 187 Huda is going to be bringing out the Evolución merch too. So, you know, just learning those types of things as an independent artist, sometimes you got to wear all the hats. You know, some people don't have all the team that other people have.
Right.
You know, but it's all right, because, you know, we were taught to work anyways.
Yeah.
You know, I learned the hard way. I can't let other people do things for me, because I'll lose.
That's right.
You know, so that's why we're doing what we're doing. We're doing it our way. We're dropping it our way. And May 30th is our evolution coming to you. You know, it's the evolution of hip hop. No one has ever done this the way we did it. No
I'm
one has
excited, bro.
ever
I
done
think
it.
that there's
You know?
so much potential because I love hip hop, but live instrumentation brings another energy. The Latin market
Yeah.
is so hot and it's hungry for originality, right? And all of
Yeah.
the background story, and it being on this label, all of the pieces are perfect for something big to happen.
Yeah.
Very big.
Yes, especially N.W.A. being that group that just changed hip hop forever.
Yeah.
You know, I feel as the first Mexican rapper out of Compton that I had that duty to match those sounds together. You know, and I after I had approached their management like years ago, I tried to get other guys to understand what I was trying to do, and no one would understand it. The minute I got to get in front of these two guys, it was like, yeah, let's go right now.
And less than 30 minutes. And less than 30 minutes.
It was an amazing thing to like finally, and I like, oh my God, it was like a little kid at the studio, like, hell yeah, let's go. And we destroyed that. That we ended up doing some really dope for that album by breaking barriers.
Yeah.
The last little barriers that hip hop had, we broke them that day. You know, because we took the 2 genres and put them together.
Yeah.
And made one sound. You know, and we did it with cumbias and corridos. That's what's the crazy part about it, you know? And trust me, the next video is going to be wild. This cumbia video is going to be wild. Everything that we're going to be putting out for Evolución is just going to be wild. Make sure that if you're in LA or any states that we're going to be touring at, make sure you come check us out because it's going to be a real live show. And it is a show with guitars, a bass player, and a DJ.
That's dope.
Be like, here it Fonz, and Fonz drops the beat. You feel me? Like it's that. It's real hip hop.
Yeah.
You know, we didn't take away the DJ because when you take away the DJ, you're no longer hip hop.
Yeah. The DJ is
Remember
incredibly
that.
important.
Yes, it's important to me.
Yeah.
You know, and that style of music that we bring, of course, it's it's something that is different, but that's what N.W.A. was different. And I didn't mind going there. So it's like, gangster rap meets gangster corridos. And it's like he said, it's like they were already doing hood corridos.
Yeah,
so
the hood
that
corridos, that fusion of the hood corridos is so dope.
Yeah, with hip hop, and we created a hip hop corridos,
Yeah.
And I feel like, we're the first to ever do that. And, some people might argue and say we weren't, but nobody could do it like Ruthless can.
Yeah.
So
I haven't heard that anywhere else, man. I haven't heard that anywhere else.
It's got to be said. Ruthless is that label that brings that type of energy and breaking all the boundaries and any type of gates and walls that they want to put up on music. Ruthless has been breaking them down since day one. So for us to be able to record this EP with solid songs, it's incredible. So everybody, May 30th, we're gonna be dropping.
That's dope.
Stay tuned, fellas. Stay tuned.
Yeah, bro.
Yes.
What a special moment on Cinco de Mayo that not only did I get to have Kiki Smooth on here, first Mexican rapper out of Compton, but I also had to have Los Asociados, right? That's super dope. As we start to wrap up, I want to make sure that everybody gets a chance to talk. Maybe we'll start with Asociados and then we'll wrap up with Kiki Smooth, right? Any last gems that you want to leave people, where to find you at, anything about you want to make sure people know?
I mean, yeah, you can look for us on Spotify, iTunes, other digital platforms. That's Los Asociados. We got all type of music right there. It's original and some covers too, but most of it is more original. And you can find us on TikTok or Instagram too as Asociados Oficial or TikTok Los Asociados. You can find it right there. Facebook too, everywhere.
Yeah, be sure to follow us for more content.
Yeah, we got more music on the way too. We actually dropped this new song that we have. You can check it out on Asociados, Spotify, iTunes, everywhere. Se llama Sábado Nights. Sábado por la noche. Check it out. It's something new, something new. Yeah, you're gonna like that.
That's dope. Thank you, my bros. I'm so glad you guys were able to join in and talk about, the new coming with Kiki, right? This new sound that you're gonna be introducing to the world. And Kiki, as we wrap up, last words.
DM me if you need a DJ. Shout out to DJ Live Crew. Shout outs to everybody from Ruthless. Shout outs to Box. Shout outs to Lil Eazy. Shout outs to Big A. Shout outs to all the management from Ruthless. Shout outs to Long Beach Carlos and our radio show. You can catch me mixing every Friday night from from 6 to 9. I'm DJing live, and of course, DJing is my heart, so I'm back DJing nonstop, and we're dropping this album, so we're gonna be all over the place. If you need some music, if you need a DJ, if you need some players at your quinceañera, and you need a DJ, look, we're one shot right here.
Whole party right here.
You get on the whole thing, It's just really dope. The music out, and shout out to every Mexicano out there today. Happy being a Mexican. Forget about Cinco de Mayo. Just be happy being a Mexican, you know, and not just for today, being in life. You know, brown people is brown excellence. So shout outs to everybody that's my skin tone. You know, I love y'all. And being the first Mexican rapper out of Compton, I just want to say this, man. I represent the legacy of Eric Easy Wright, Ruthless Records, and I will continue. Shout outs to my mentor, DJ Yella. DJ Yella has retired.
Wow.
And we went to Arizona and we did the last shows, and he gave me, you know, the torch over. So that's why he told me, I better see you DJing and rapping at every show you can. So that's what I've been doing. I've been DJing and rapping at every show I can because I am hip hop.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I am a musician. I am a songwriter. You know, and shout outs to everybody that's, you know, taking this culture up. You know, shout out to all the artists that are popping right now. And shout outs to all the artists that are still trying. You know, don't give up, you know. If you gave up, you only giving up on yourself, no one else, you know.
Good.
And if they don't care, who cares? Let's keep it moving, you know.
That's beautiful.
Big shout out to everybody. Big shout out to you, brother.
Hey,
Thank you for having all three of us on here. And your platform is, you know, giving the eye to people that didn't get it. So
Yeah.
thank you, bro.
Thank you, bro.
I appreciate you so much. You know, those artists that haven't got it deserve it. And there's another artist out there, Bobby Castro, and my brother Too Much, that you need to
Yeah,
interview.
we'll do the
They're for me and
connect.
Zapata. They're for me and Zapata's era. You feel me? That just continue to push new music, and you know, hopefully one day they open the doors and let us all in. You know what it is?
Yeah,
You
brother.
know.
Yeah.
Again, be
Sir.
safe out there. Continue dropping dope music. We love y'all. Thank y'all for even listening, and whoever's listening. Evolución, May 30th, dropping on all platforms.
That's dope.
Do
That's
not
dope.
forget it, guys. Do not forget it. Stay tuned.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you, Cristopolis. Thank you so much for having us on your show,
Hey,
too.
it's been an honor, my brothers. Los Asociados, thank you so much for jumping in. This is really, you made it magical. What a special Cinco de Mayo show. I'm really looking forward to the
Yeah.
new music. And Kiki Smooth, my bro, an honor to have you on the Cristopolis show. Any clips that I pull, I'll tag everybody on it. And thank you all so much. Salute.
Thank you,
Thank
brother.
you.
Peace.
Thank you.
My boy
Happy
Kiki,
Monday.
you're the man. Yay.